View three-headed eagle.
You better play that on time.
It's pretty amazing how fast.
If you screw up that intro.
Oh, it pops up immediately.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes a little bit to load.
Yeah, of course.
Does it say live right now?
It does say we're live, but there's always a little bit of a delay, and it takes a second to load.
I'm going to move this chair.
It is a little in the way.
Move it out of the way.
Oh, there it is.
There it is.
A little in the way.
Move it out of the way.
Oh, there it is.
Oh,
Yeah,
we got
there
we got
it is.
we got a
In the way.
round robin now.
You gotta
Whoa,
mute
no,
that.
there it is.
Sounds good though.
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds fine. Ooh, I sound a little loud. Probably
Yours
turn me
a little
down.
Loud.
Turn me down a little bit. Yeah, that sounds good right there. You keep talking, Adam.
Yeah. So then there's me. I'm probably peeking out a little bit, kind of on
Yeah.
top of it.
Yeah, right there. That sounds better.
Whoop.
There you
There.
go.
Better.
Jeremy,
Talking right here, right about here.
turn Jeremy down.
Might
just
get a
bit.
little upset. You know, kind of get up here.
It's one of those days.
Trump sucks! You know, like right about there. Did I peek?
I'm sure it did. It just got compressed. All right, cool. Wonderful.
We ready to go?
Yeah, did you share it out?
I did
Link?
indeed.
Wonderful. Did you at Ted Cruz?
I did not.
Oh,
I
you
can-
should.
Should we practice one more time?
No, we shouldn't practice.
Okay.
I mean, we're going to probably have to do it
More
a
than
few
once.
times, yeah.
All right. Let's see.
We'll see. We'll wait till Jeremy's done with this thing, and then we can start it. Give people time, to... We'll tune into the Periscope if they feel so inclined. And then you'll just have to, once we play the intro, are you going to pop back over on Periscope to monitor for comments?
Well, yeah. I'll have to
Just mute it.
mute it. Is all.
Good deal.
But that's all gravy, baby. It's all gravy.
I don't like that we have this just like cord sitting around for no reason. Sure, it's Jeremy's and be like, where'd it go?
We've like
Oh, that? No, I don't. I've got like 8,000 of those. They come with everything now.
Yeah.
right.
Okay, we ready?
I think so.
Yeah.
Today's Supreme Court decision.
Well,
just
hey,
testing. Just
Crying
testing.
out loud.
Psych.
Oh, hold on.
right.
There it goes. All right.
Ready?
Start recording in 3, 2.
Thanks for listening to the podcast.
You can check out more great content on threeheadedeagle.com.
You can also check us out on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
New episodes of the podcast go live every Saturday.
So be sure to subscribe on iTunes and Stitcher.
Today's Supreme Court decisions reflect the state of American politics.
That's your money. That is your money.
Has the federal government kept us safe, or does it just want us to think that it has kept us safe?
It's the battlefield of ideas. Ideas, inspiration, information.
Immigration.
Welcome to the Three-Headed Eagle Show.
Welcome to the show. I was just adding another I. I couldn't think of one, so I just ideas, inspiration, information, immigration.
Immigration. Dude, we nailed that intro.
We totally did. That was live.
That was live. It's like we've been doing this for a while. Like
Yeah.
we've listened to it over and over and over again.
That was good.
That was good. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Of course, welcome to the listeners and welcome to the viewers on Periscope. Glad
course.
to have you guys.
Of course.
So, you guys know what's stupid?
What's stupid?
Valentine's Day. It's coming up.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree.
It just pisses me off.
What?
Does it?
So I was listening to a talk show, which shall remain nameless, who's sponsored by a company called Sherry's Berries.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So I'm like, you know what? Hey, my wife always tells me, my wife used to work at a flower shop.
Okay.
And so she always tells me, don't buy me any flowers on Valentine's Day. You can buy me flowers a week before. You can buy me flowers a week after. Don't do it on Valentine's Day. It's just such a waste of money. So I never have. And I've just listened to her.
Sure.
But I'm starting to think it's a trick. Right?
Oh.
Like I'm supposed to. Right? But I don't know. She
By
might
defying
actually
her,
mean
you're
it.
really
because
not defying her?
She is pretty logical, though. So it might not be. But I don't know for sure. So I just thought, you know what? It'll be a surprise anyway if I get her something actually on Valentine's Day. So I hear about this great deal that I can get like $40 and it's like a dozen roses and half a dozen strawberries. And that actually sounds terrible now that I say it out loud. But anyway, so I get on there and I'm ready to order these, right? And then I see, like, wait a minute, these are going to come 2 different days. They're
What?
not going to come on Valentine's Day. One's going to come the day before, and the other one's going to come the day after. What? I'm like, I can do that myself, thanks. So I call them, and I'm like, is there any way that you can just make it the day of? And it's, I'm not making fun of foreign people or whatever. I'm glad that, people in India have jobs at call centers and stuff. But I couldn't understand her for the life of me, and I thought she said we can. She was using a contraction, can't, but I could not tell. And so I'm like, yeah, all right, placing this order, because I thought she said, yeah, we can. Can. She was not. Anyway, so I get all the way through, and she's like, yeah, so that'll come on the 13th and the 15th. I'm like, nope, that's what I called for. I'm like, please cancel the order. So I go back through, and I'm going to order, I'm looking for a package that doesn't say, like, they'll come on different days. And I'm trying a bunch of stuff, and I finally find one. And it's just flowers and dadgum strawberries, right? Find one, and it's like, same thing, $40. So I'm like, oh, well, why is this one $40? The other one was $40, and that was supposed to be like a deal. And this one comes on one day. Why couldn't they work this out for me, right? So I go to order it. I realize there's a delivery charge for these $40 flowers and strawberries. I thought that $40 was with the delivery charge because flowers cost like $5, $10. I mean, I'm talking about their costs, right? Sure. $5 for a dozen. Strawberries are like $1, right? So I'm like, well, $40 clearly includes a delivery fee. No, over $80 by the time I'm ready to check out with the delivery. Yeah, because not only were they charging me a delivery fee, they're counting it as 2 different items. Strawberries get a delivery fee, flowers get a delivery fee, even though they're coming from the same guy. Which I thought was me doing them a favor. Yeah. Like, hey, you don't have to come twice. Amazon loves it when I do that.
Yeah.
So anyway, I ended up pushing back and trying to see if there was a cancel button, and there wasn't. So I hit back and deleted my credit card number and took out all the numbers, which I'm pretty sure doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I never hit confirm.
Okay. Wait.
So I'm like, yeah.
Makes me wonder what Amazon would charge for that. I bet you could get chocolate-covered strawberries and flowers in one order in Amazon.
I don't know if I could.
Probably
I could check it out.
$15, I bet.
But right?
Prime free
shipping.
free next day.
So anyway, but I'm not done. Not done.
Oh.
Valentine's Day gets dumber. It's on a Sunday this year, right?
Okay.
Okay, the wife and I don't go out on Sundays, right?
Sure. You're not alone in that.
Right? A lot of people don't. So I call up one of our favorite restaurants, and I don't even want to say what it is because I don't want to talk bad about these guys or make anybody think I am, because they're actually a really freaking great restaurant, and probably everybody does this on Valentine's Day, right? I call up and I'm like, yeah, I just want to make reservations for the 13th, thinking like, it's a regular day, the 13th. They're like, okay, yeah, we have a fixed menu that day. You only can, it's one thing. It's $70 per person. Mm-hmm. It does not include the automatic 20% gratuity plus tax.
What?
And I'm like, okay, so we're talking almost $200 by the time I get out the door for a restaurant that I usually go to, and it's expensive. I usually drop $100 with tax and tip.
Yeah,
right?
but that's half the price.
Right. So I'm like, how about Monday? The Monday following? She's like, yeah, that's a regular menu day. I think it's a really smart choice.
Thank you for your honesty.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for that. I'll go ahead and take Monday. And she's like, it's still busy. You need to make a reservation. But she got me right in. I was like, how
perfect.
about sometime around 7:00? And she's like, how about 7:15? I'm like, okay,
Perfect.
sounds good.
That's great service right there.
That is right. So, but
But you can. I mean, that's free market, man. If you can gouge, they will gouge.
and that's the whole point of Valentine's Day. Like, I'm so
Big
sick.
gouge.
This holiday, it's nothing. People are like, no, it's about love. I'm like, well, who is this? Saint Valentine fella? Who is this? What do he do? Anybody know?
Oh, of course not.
No, I have no clue.
Yeah.
Like, I know there's a guy named Saint Valentine, right?
Right.
Right? Yeah, I have no clue what he did or why we're celebrating him. And now it's about hearts and chocolate and delicious things. I'm like, yeah.
Nothing I'm opposed to.
Yeah, and,
In individual form.
right.
Opposed to chocolate. Not opposed to other tasty treats.
See, I like most holidays, the idea of them,
Mm-hmm.
but they ruin every holiday with just the worst form of candy. So like
What's the worst form of candy?
Like Valentine's Day, right? You're like, ooh, I want
the
some chocolate
hearts?
and stuff. But like the chocolate they sell around Valentine's Day is just the worst chocolate. Or like Halloween,
Where
right?
are you? Where
Yeah,
are you?
where are you
going?
shopping? I
No,
get
like you
good
go-
chocolate around Valentine's Day.
No, like you
Yeah.
get to go get the heart box with like the variety, whatever. It's garbage.
No, you're
It's
getting the
better
wrong heart,
than-
man. No, yes,
It's better
No.
than the chocolate that you get elsewhere. What do you get? Like a nice box?
No, like a
wrapped
Hershey
around
Hershey bar
bars?
tastes better.
No.
Than, yeah.
What brand?
Are you going like
the
Russell's?
generic?
With the generic crap,
Heart-
yeah.
heart box.
You're buying wax.
Yeah.
It's chocolate flavored wax.
Right.
Everybody
It's
knows
all
that.
about like you got to go
Right.
to like Russell Stover's is even better.
I think
and it's
Russell
pretty-
Stover sucks.
Yeah, I
Myself.
think it all sucks.
but it's cheap.
The
And it
Dove
tastes
ones,
better than
the
what he's
Dove
saying.
truffles. You'll
I don't like
take
truffles.
one bite and you'll just like collapse and die because they're that good. You just be like, I can
I
go
don't
to heaven
believe
now.
it.
My life is over. Nothing will get better than this.
And then they've got those like the sweethearts, there's a Be Mine, and it's just like crappy candy, just
You
like
know, those are
right?
terrible.
And
Those
then,
are
like-
like chalk.
like
sweet
Halloween.
chalk.
Halloween candy corn comes out, and it's just like
I like candy corn.
I like candy
I don't
corn.
know what your deal is.
what is what universe did I step into? No, and they've got like the fun size that are like tiny, like a sugar cube size.
Yeah.
Like a
Candy bar?
sugar cube.
Like, no, I want a real candy bar, not the fun size Halloween pack.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, not all of us grew up in rich neighborhoods where they hand out big candy bars.
In the
Rich
middle,
neighborhoods?
in Podunk, Iowa.
Actually, what's funny is I totally went to the rich neighborhoods on
I
Halloween.
totally.
growing
Everybody did. You remember when I lived over in
Yeah.
Avondale, right?
up. Sure, yeah.
Yeah. That was the closest nice neighborhood to the ghetto.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we could open our door at about 6 o'clock and stand there until 9 o'clock and just bucket, bag, bucket.
Just
bag,
kids were
bucket.
crazy.
It's just a constant cycle
Really?
of kids just walking by. And then, of course, like the latest thing is to like come up and be like, yeah, this one's for my cousin. He's real sick at home. He can't come. And I'm just like, get out of here.
Yeah.
I know you have to. If he's sick, he shouldn't be eating candy.
Yeah. Like, tell your cousin to get better. Does he want some NyQuil? I have some. Here, take
Not
him
all
a shot of
holidays.
NyQuil. Carry that all night.
Not all holidays. Because you have
No.
like 4th of July where, what are they selling? Like
Hot dogs?
Hot dogs, hamburgers.
Hot dogs suck.
Yeah. Hot dogs suck.
It depends on the
Like,
kind of
I'll
hot
eat
dogs.
them. I'll eat them.
I like hot
But
dogs.
no. Hot dogs suck. I will
Did
also
you
eat
see?
them, but they suck.
Was it QT or Circle K that we saw the bacon wrapped?
If you were in Circle K, what is wrong with you, first
Yeah.
of all?
I was in one of the imposter Circle Ks that looks just like a QT.
What?
There's
Oh,
one by
the
my
newer,
house.
the newer ones?
That are like, oh crap, we're falling behind. No, they had
Not-
bacon wrapped
It-
hot
it's-
dogs.
Still doesn't work.
Didn't I take a picture and send it to you?
I don't think so.
Oh, well, I should have.
Bacon wrapped hot dog
Yeah.
at Circle K.
I can't remember.
I
if it
wouldn't
was
eat it.
QT or Circle K.
It's just sitting there spinning on the little
Mm.
greasy roller thing.
Aren't they all?
Yeah, but they're not made of pork. That's an issue. I mean, they might be made of pork, but they're made of like pork testicles and lips. It's disgusting stuff.
Yum. Yum.
Anyway.
So anyway.
Should we get to something important?
Strons, you grew up in Iowa.
Yeah.
The freak is wrong.
I didn't see
Those
your
people-
dad. I didn't see your dad. I was
know.
seriously hoping to see your dad, and I wouldn't have
Your
been
dad
surprised.
doesn't live in Iowa right now, does
He does. He lives
Oh,
there.
he does?
And he is so into the election stuff right now. Like he's gone to at least one, but I think a couple Trump rallies. He's been to.
He's a Trump fan?
Hold on. That's not what I said.
Okay.
I
He
said
was about to kick you out of the house.
Was.
he's been to
Child of a Trump supporter.
at least
Get out!
at least one Trump rally. I think he's been to at least probably 3 Ted Cruz rallies and a few other things. Like he was in doing all the caucus stuff, doing a couple town halls. Like he's asked.
Was your dad the guy that Donald Trump was talking about when he said, I was told somebody here might throw tomatoes at me? Because that would make you one of the best people on earth just because you're related to him.
No, it's funny. My dad, he's got this. I can usually tell what he thinks about a particular issue, but the words that come out of his mouth don't always sound like he believes the opposite. Does that make sense? That's really hard to explain, but he'll say stuff like, okay, the birther thing with Ted Cruz. And he'll say stuff like, yeah, I think that should be explored. And you're like, oh, he's a birther. Like, but no, he's like, well, it's equal, fair opportunity. Like, yeah, let's explore the topic and figure out like what we all think about it.
Essentially saying there's nothing wrong with anybody asking a question.
A question, yeah.
Yeah,
like,
there's nothing
it's okay.
wrong with the question.
In fact,
But everyone interprets it as like
Yeah.
the most extreme possibility.
yeah, like, oh, he's on Trump's side. Like, he went to a Trump rally, and you're like, oh, he supports Trump. Like, no, he's into it and wants to go see what all these people have to say. I think
just go and listen, or I mean, what?
I think he just is. He likes
doing it.
He's into the whole process.
I heard him on the radio.
Yeah, he called into Rush Limbaugh, got on the radio, talked to Rush for a little bit. He was
And
quoted.
Not a little bit. It was like the longest random call-in conversation ever.
He got quoted in like a Huffington Post article when they were doing interviews there. He's like asked Ted Cruz
He needs to be on the podcast.
2 different questions at 2 different town halls. Like, he's all about it.
There's going to be conspiracy theories about your dad soon. You know that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Just because he's everywhere.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, this is the dead guy that keeps voting for people.
So, yeah, we were Adam and I, we were watching the Iowa caucuses, and we were like looking for him, like trying to see if he would pop up on the TV. But he didn't.
I felt bad for my wife.
Why?
I was out at Olive Garden with her.
And
And
you
the
were just
Iowa
glued
caucuses
to
were
it.
happening.
Oh.
And I was on my phone, and I found a live update on LATimes.com or something, which is, I might add, the only time that I've ever been to that website. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I found a live update, so I'm literally, like, holding the phone. Oh. It just, Cruz went up another point. Not like a full point, but like a tenth of a point, like 0.1.
You should have been you should have been watching our Periscope stream that me and Adam did on 3-Headed.
You didn't even tell me it was going to happen. You fools were in, where were you? You were in Texas, in Dallas?
Yeah, in Texas.
Yeah.
Screw you guys.
So we impromptu,
So I want to talk about that. You know what happened a couple days before the Iowa caucuses?
No, what happened?
Something that really pissed me off.
What
And
pissed you?
actually, it didn't piss me off so much as, okay, last week on the show, I came in and I was really ranting about stupid Sheriff Joe and
Yeah,
endorsing Donald Trump, right?
Right,
And I was
yeah.
like, I'm done with this guy.
But then we determined that it makes sense that he would.
Well, we did, because they're both a couple of douchebags. It's like, yeah, a douche endorses a douche. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
Makes sense.
authoritarian,
Yeah.
authoritarian.
Okay.
Old goofy looking dude, old goofy looking dude. They have a lot in common.
This one makes no sense. And I literally thought to myself at one point, I wonder if I should, like, if we had more Periscope viewers, I would.
We have 4 watching right now.
We have 4. Okay, if we had like a few hundred, I would literally take my Liberty University diploma and tear it in half on Periscope.
Oh, really?
Yep. Guess
Wait,
here.
seriously?
Yep, I would. If that number got up to 400, I will tear my Liberty University diploma in half on Periscope.
Okay, so what happened?
Jerry Falwell, the president of Liberty University,
Really?
endorsed
Okay,
Donald Trump.
I have a question.
Old weird looking dude.
See, a lot in common.
He's not like old. He's what's old for you? I mean, I think he's maybe about 50.
Oh, okay.
He's got a
is
beard.
there is there a senior Jerry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He would be really weird looking now because he's probably been decaying for like 10 or 12 years.
See, I don't know these people. But I know the name.
Jerry Falwell is the president of Liberty University, but he's also got, I believe he has a doctorate in Christian theology or preaching or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. So he's not just a conservative university president. He's also like one of the strongest voices in the evangelical community.
Yeah, that's my big issue with the evangelicals going for Trump.
I don't freaking get it. How is any evangelical buying into this guy? Like, I would have to, if you're an evangelical, if you're a Christian at all, right? If you believe in God, don't you go to him and be like, so where was your pivot point? Where was it that you turned? Because just a few months ago, you said, like, you've never asked God for forgiveness. A few years ago, you were totally in favor of partial birth abortion. That's not just abortion. That's literally the baby's ready to be born, and they kill it anyway. Like, there's no
Right.
excuse for it at that point. Even all the liberal arguments fail at that point. Because it's like, well, it's my body. Yeah, but the baby's already most of the way out.
Mm-hmm. And it's a totally vile, independent human being.
Right.
Like,
so just let it come out and adopt it. There's no argument for it at that point. So it's
Right.
like, I don't understand how you can say,
But
I'm
we would have. You have to admit though that there's like a wide variety of Christian denomination, Christian thinking, Christian culture in America now. I mean, you have everything from, the very you have everything from Jehovah's Witnesses to Westboro Baptists. Mm-hmm. One can go door to door, and you never hear like a violent or bad or negative. They seem very nice. You meet them on the street; they're very pleasant. The other, they're protesting everything they can possibly think of to protest. So you have this
I
variety.
wonder who they're endorsing.
The Westboro
Yeah,
Baptist.
who the Westboro Baptists endorsing? I hope it's Donald Trump. So I would tell everybody that, yeah, he's endorsed by the Westboro Baptists. You should look them up.
Now, Sarah does say that she's not necessarily a Trump fan, I guess, but she said the PC crap has to stop, and I agree. That's one thing that he does, but I think that Rand Paul did that. He kind of just was like, I'm going to say what truth is. I don't really care about the blowback on it. I think Cruz did that to an extent. But she's right. You have a lot of candidates that are currently doing that PC thing where they're just kind of skirting everything. They don't want to make too many waves. And Donald Trump makes a lot of waves. I don't like what he says, and I don't agree with who he is, and I don't agree with his policies.
I think that falls into the same category. Because, like, okay, so what? Donald Trump got, 24% of the vote?
Something like that, yeah.
On the Republican side?
24 to like 27.7 or something like that.
Close to 28, and then Rubio had like 23 or something. So, I mean, it is a minority percentage of the Republican side voting for him, right? But in all cases, that's the case. They all got a minority of the...
Right, nobody got a majority.
Sure.
Right.
So I think Adam's right in that it's this split. There's like kind of all these just different factions of people who are like, well, I like him because he's not PC, and then other people are like, oh, I like this person because their policies, and like I like this person because their religious beliefs, or whatever. But almost all that stuff like falls into a category that like I don't care about because it doesn't affect like Donald Trump being president. Like I don't care if he's PC or not. Because like depending on how you talk about it, it's still like the policy and the issue that's at hand. And I don't care if he's really rude and abrasive about it. That doesn't change the fact that I don't agree with a lot of the stances that he takes.
He's generally wrong.
Right.
And a lot of his stances are flip-flops anyway.
Sure,
so it's like,
sure.
We don't know who this guy is, right? And a lot of
He's an entertainer. He's an actor.
Right. But
Like,
I'm
you
saying,
have to admit that
politically
he's like,
speaking,
there really
you don't
isn't
know who
anything
he
there.
is. You don't know who he is politically speaking.
Right, that's what
Which
I'm
is
saying.
one
He's
of the
an actor.
problems.
He just plays the part.
Which is one of the problems that I've pointed out with voting for people that don't have voting records, right? They can just say whatever they want, and you can't go, but Mr. Trump, in your time in Congress, you wrote this bill and you voted for it. Like people are, for some reason, ignoring the fact that Marco Rubio is trying to say that Ted Cruz was in favor of amnesty when he helped write the amnesty bill. Like, right? But we can point to that. We can go, wait,
You're saying
Rubio
Rubio
wrote the
Rubio's saying
amnesty
that.
bill, and he's calling Ted Cruz out for being in favor of amnesty,
Right.
which he wasn't. But Marco Rubio himself, anyway. But you can point to that. You can go, wait, no. How are you saying that when you helped write that bill, right? You have something to point to. Donald Trump, you got nothing. You've got old videos of him being a stupid windbag and just flapping his jaw. And he can just go, oh, well, I've changed my stance since then. And for some reason, people are buying it.
Well, here's the thing. Like, people are looking for someone that authoritarian, like, oh, I'm just going to kick butt and take names kind of guy. And that's all Trump is. He's like no substance at all. Periscope commenter basically just said he's just slinging mud. And people are like, yeah. They're just like behind him, like, sling more mud. When
I
really
think
he's just like...
some people are.
But
That's why it's like...
I think people are rallying behind that because it seems like it's a strong position, but really it's like the little... in every movie there's that stereotype bully, and then you have his like sidekick that's annoying. It's like all like there's a bunch of voters who are that sidekick that's just like who's just standing behind the bully because the bully seems to protect him as the loud, obnoxious, tough guy, and that's Trump.
Trump has this nice benefit of being one of many, many, many candidates.
Sure.
Right?
Well,
like,
less and less all the time.
Sure, less and less. But think about, okay, if we were talking about the Iowa caucuses, and think about a situation where it was just Ted Cruz versus Donald Trump. How would the vote have broken down?
I would have been like 60-40, I'm sure.
Pretty sure, yeah, more.
I could
more
even
Ted
see,
Cruz.
70-30, right? Right? Because the people who, like, support Trump love him. But everyone else is like, no, I want nothing to do with that guy. I'll vote for anyone but him, right? So at Ted Cruz, Donald Trump, they're the only two people. Donald Trump is nothing, He's got 24, 25, 30%.
Right.
Oh, well, Ted Cruz got 70.
Which is why a lot of people are saying, yeah, it's going to come down to Cruz Rubio. It's not going to come down to Cruz Trump.
Yeah.
Because as people drop out, Cruz and Rubio are almost everybody's second choice.
Right.
So, and Donald Trump is no one's.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. None of the arguments for this guy work. that he's very obviously okay. The most irritating point. I didn't even get to the most irritating point. Donald Trump spoke at Liberty University convocation like a week before the endorsement, and he got up. Did you guys hear the clip? Mm-mm. He got up and he convocation isn't necessarily a sermon. It can be, right? But convocation, a lot of times, Michelle Bachmann has done it. Glenn Beck has done it. I don't know. A lot of people have, right? They have business people come in, but it's usually like, this is how my faith has helped me in the field that I'm in, right? Donald Trump got up there, and the only thing that he could really say as far as like, I'm trying to connect with you somehow, was that he tried to quote the school theme, right? 2 Corinthians 3:17, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty, right? Okay, he tried to quote it, and he said, "Oh, like the 2 Corinthians 3:17, it says it all, right? The Spirit of the Lord, there's liberty, and Liberty College here, or university, but liberty everywhere else." And it was just like, and the people literally laughed at him. He literally got laughed at because they're just like, that was the stupidest attempt to connect with us that we have ever heard in our entire lives.
Yeah.
Not only did you say 2 Corinthians, which anybody that has ever been to church knows that nobody says 2 Corinthians,
yeah.
Right? Second, first, second, right? John, 1 John, 2 John, 3 John, right? Okay. Nobody says 2 Corinthians. But then they're like, wait. You came here and you wanted to like read a Bible verse to us, and the only one you could come up with just happens to be our school theme.
Well, wasn't there an interview a while back that's like, because they were talking about, you might struggle with the evangelical group, because that was when Ben Carson was polling really well, and he's kind of pulling a lot of the Christians. And they're like, yeah, what's your favorite verse? And he's like, all of them.
All of them. And
you're like, do you even know one?
There was one verse where he said, well, that's incredibly personal, so I just don't want to talk about him.
That's a better answer than the word.
It is.
Who said that?
Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah.
But she wasn't asked what's her favorite verse. She asked what is her favorite word.
I know.
It's like the word.
The word.
She wasn't even
which is two words. But I don't know. I'm just incredibly annoyed
Sarah's
by this.
wondering if any of us have seen 13 Hours or if any of us have served in the military. No, none of us have served in the military.
I was corrections on a SWAT team for a little while,
Right.
and I think that's the closest any of us came. Which, by the way, I'm not trying to compare to the military.
No.
And
you got the military dropouts. Sorry.
Right. We had. Hang on. We got military dropouts in the standard corrections. On our tactical team,
you had
we had really good. We had a freaking Marine Corps gunnery sergeant that had gone to Fallujah, and it was his job to train.
he was awesome.
Train his guys in building entry.
He was good.
So yeah, this guy knew what he was doing, and he was teaching us building entry. So yeah, I was really proud to work with that.
Any of you guys have family members who were in the military?
My dad's a veteran.
My cousin.
My dad's a veteran, and almost all my uncles are veterans. Mm-hmm. So cool, good question.
13 Hours, no.
I want to see it.
I do
yeah,
too.
we should. We should just do a 3-headed eagle trip and go see it.
I am fascinated by Jim from The Office being a Navy SEAL.
I don't think that would be too bad. I think he's believable as a regular guy. He was in another movie, a military guy.
Yeah, Aloha.
Not
a good movie. Not a good movie.
We did talk about that.
Don't go see it, but he's in it.
Don't go see it.
I've been totally on a Navy SEAL kick lately. I watched within just like the last month, I've seen American Sniper.
I love that movie.
That is a good movie.
Lone Survivor.
I like that movie.
Not
as good as American Sniper, but it's good.
Act of Valor.
Oh, I hate that movie.
That
was not that good.
It's terrible.
I like the gimmick, and the gimmick made it.
The gimmick was cool that you're watching real Navy SEALs and
they're shooting real guns,
and then that ruined it.
And that did it because they're not actors.
Terrible actors.
Yeah. But and then what else did I see? I've seen several Navy SEAL movies.
I just saw. It's been a while, but a couple months now. But I saw Star Wars. That was a good war movie.
It's the Star variety.
Okay,
It kind of changes it up a little.
Just Sarah's really pointed out some stuff that we've never done before. We've never actually introduced who is who on the podcast. Since we started podcast or periscoping. So no one knows.
Actually see us. I'm Jeremy. Hi, how are you?
I'm Adam.
Nice to meet you, Sarah.
And this makes no sense for anyone just listening.
Right.
'Cause it's still the same.
But it doesn't. Check us out on Periscope.
Yeah,
we are.
I'm Strauns.
We are on Periscope, which I think is cool. And we actually we're trying to upload our Periscope
To
videos to YouTube
when it
as
works.
well, when it works.
But I got to go back because I got
What?
an issue with Ted Cruz. So I picked on Donald Trump, right? Like the PC, anti-PC, whatever thing he wants to do, fine. I don't really care if a candidate's like that. If they're not, it doesn't matter. I care about their policy, right? Like what they actually think should be the way the country works. I don't care about Ted Cruz's religious beliefs all that much. I really don't. I don't care that he knows the Bible or quotes it or gives glory to God or any of that stuff. I really don't care, and I don't know if it's this thing that like every candidate thinks that people in Iowa are just like super spiritual and religious. I mean, that may be the case. That kind of is how it is. Mm-hmm. Maybe, but I think that could just be people's impression of Iowa. Because like again, that means like nothing to me.
See, here's the thing. I don't particularly care if he really knows the Bible. If he just could quote the Bible off the back of his hand, I don't care, right? It doesn't bother me if he doesn't know it all that well, right? But what does bother me is that Donald Trump is, and you start to combine things, right? Okay, he doesn't know the Bible. He said he's never really asked for forgiveness from God. And look at this pompous windbag that he is.
Yeah.
Okay? Now look at Ted Cruz, right? And go, okay, so this guy can quote the Bible, right? Not necessarily like in every speech or whatever, but he does. He does give glory to God. And look at how he appears to be a strong but humble person.
Oh, there's no doubt in my mind
So
of his religious beliefs and his convictions and what he actually thinks. I don't think he's like posing.
No. So what I'm saying is that religious belief is an indicator, not necessarily a guarantee. And in fact, let me rephrase. Never a guarantee, but an indicator of, okay, what might I get from this person and what drives them? Okay, so if I ask myself, what drives Ted Cruz? I think his religious convictions, the Constitution, because I know that he also has the Constitution memorized, literally word for word, right?
See, much more important to me.
Right?
Much more important.
Because it's related to politics. I get that. But I want to know what drives him. What drives Donald Trump? It appears that money drives Donald Trump.
Power.
Being a jerk. I'm not sure if that's like he wakes up every morning and is like, I can't wait to be a jerk today.
Winning drives him.
Winning drives him. But I don't know if he noticed this. You lost. Congratulations. Your very first.
Not according to him. He wants a recount.
I can't believe that. I heard that today.
Yeah.
He wants a recount. It's not 1/10%. It was almost 4%.
Right.
You can have a recount if it's like,
You know what would be funny?
he won by 6 votes. That
It'd
is
be funny
crazy.
if they did a recount and Rubio beat him in the recount.
That would be hilarious.
That would be awesome.
I would love that.
Hillary and Bernie, they should have a
Too
recount
good.
there. I'd go for
They
that.
were really close.
I'd go for a
I
recount.
thought, well, Bernie was talking about if he should have a recount. If people don't know, but the thing was, the Democrats do it differently. They elect it with delegates, so the percentage is a little different. The percentage wasn't like percentage of people that actually voted. They elect delegates, and then they count delegates.
But even the delegates, it was like only off by, what'd you say, Adam?
It was like 6 or 9.
It was
pretty small.
less than 6 or 9. I feel like it was like 3 or 4. Like it was really close.
real close.
Because
It
it
was
was
really
less
close,
than a percentage between the two.
But so it's like a recount. You want a recount of the delegates? You want them to just all come back and be like, yeah, I voted for Bernie. I voted for Hillary.
Change their mind.
That wouldn't be so bad. I mean, it's like, who would change their mind? People would go in and be like, oh, Bernie made me come back here. I was for him, but now I'm going for Hillary. Or they might go, oh man, yeah, I'm glad I got this opportunity because I just remembered what a criminal Hillary is. It could go either way. So, but anyway, no, I just want them to leave it the heck alone. Like, I think both of those that's the actual result. I don't think it's really going to change much either way.
Probably not.
And I also don't think, as much as I don't want to admit this because I do like Ted Cruz, I also don't think it means much at this point. It was big and it showed everybody he can win, but at the same time, Iowa's not a whole lot of delegates. It's not a Texas or a California or something like that.
No, but I think it was kind of a relief, at least for me, right? Because I think the way the votes played out, it's kind of what I would, if it were just based on me in a vacuum, it's kind of what I would think would happen. But when you have all these people polling and you have all these news stations talking about how, Trump's so far ahead, he's going to win, like everyone loves Trump, blah, blah, and then you see that that's not the case, I think it's a little bit refreshing and kind of a relief that like, okay, not everyone's crazy.
Oh, yeah. I think a lot of people breathed a sigh of relief.
Like,
in fact, it was 75% of the Republican Party breathed a sigh of relief from like,
Thank
Oh,
goodness.
good. Okay, we're not all idiots. All right, that's great.
My only point was I wish Ted Cruz would get off the, like, how Christian or how holy or how much he knows about.
That was what was
religion.
working out, though. I mean, even Donald Trump was opening his rallies with prayer in Iowa. All of a sudden, he's like, "Oh yeah, I mean, I only go to church on Easter and Christmas. I've already admitted that, and I've already shown everybody I don't know anything about the Bible. But you know what? Prayer is important to me. So
I just think it's
really
the genuine
appreciate it if we
nature.
could all open up with
like,
prayer.
I don't mind if it's in your genuine nature. Don't spend a lot of time with it. If you're politicking, if you're campaigning, great, whatever. Just make sure your message isn't strictly, hey, I go to church. It needs to be substantive about the job in which you are trying to get in your campaign. But it also plays to the role of, like, how genuine are you? Are you telling the truth? Like,
But that's the thing.
Barack Obama, like, oh, I went to church. I go to church. I go to church. But what does he like?
With Jeremiah Wright.
He goes to Jeremiah Wright, which is more of a political organization than a church, and it was this disingenuous feeling. Same with Trump. He's saying it because it's disingenuous. If Ben Carson quotes scripture, talks about scripture, I just think it's genuinely just part of who he is, because I think he's a very religious person.
I think if you are a religious person, it's going to come out, whatever it is, and it's going to bleed through your stuff. That's why you can see when, like, Trump or maybe Obama or whoever, like, you think it's kind of phony. But I think to play up that aspect because, you know, this first round is in Iowa or whatever, I just think it's not important. And when you look at our country and the people who vote, a good chunk of them are atheists. Or they're not Christian,
Sure,
or
yeah.
and all those people see when you're out there doing that
But
time and
people-
time again. They're like, "Oh, that's the Christian candidate. I don't want to vote for them."
Yeah, but over 75% of the country identifies of some level or type of Christianity.
I think when you play it up, it's annoying, though.
I
think-
agree. I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying that you're not in the minority when you say glory be to God or anything like that.
No, if you want to get out there and
But
like
if
say
you're
thanks
campaigning-
God or thank you God or whatever, or do a little prayer, or whatever, that's
Right.
fine. But when you keep hammering it home, like it just comes across as like, oh, you're the Christian candidate, and I think that turns a lot of people off because they're not hearing the policies
Right.
and they're not hearing that stuff that actually matters. They're hearing that polarizing topic of like, oh, they really believe in God, I don't, or like my beliefs aren't that strong. Like, lay off, dude. Like,
But you're the only one who's lived in Iowa. Like, I don't know the culture there at all, but I would imagine you just have to know your audience. I don't think Ted Cruz is going to
we're-
campaign the same way in New York as he does in Iowa.
but it's
gotta know his audience.
it's a national stage no matter where you're at. The stuff that's happening in Iowa, like those speeches they gave, yeah, it was for a room in Iowa, but the whole country was watching. So if
Sure.
you start positioning, it's like your brand, right? If you make your brand too strong one thing and it's too polarizing, all of a sudden it's like down the road that can hurt you. Like Trump has a very specific brand that he's established himself as. So that's why anytime he tries to deviate from it, everyone's like, "What? No, get out of here."
You're supposed to be a windbag.
Yeah, exactly.
Why we
You're
like
supposed
you.
to be that guy. And so I think it's just like it's such a pointless issue to take up in terms of like the presidency and what it means, that like to entrench yourself in that brand of candidate, I don't think is necessary. If he was a vacuum and it was just Iowa, yeah, probably. You know, there's probably a lot of religious people there, probably a lot of old school traditional people. That's like, I mean, Ted Cruz was walking around talking about like gay marriage and stuff, and I'm like, I understand from his perspective, it's this whole Supreme Court issue, and like the decision they made wasn't the way the Supreme Court's supposed to work. But when you have a majority of the country looking at that and like, oh, he's a homophobe or he's like anti-gay or whatever.
That's if people don't listen to actually what he said in those circumstances.
Right,
Yeah.
and that's most people don't listen. Is my point. So like if they're
Because what he actually said was
if they
no-
are tuning
he didn't
in,
lean either direction. And what he
No.
said, he said it's up to the states, and there's no constitutional right
Right.
for the federal government to make any laws about it.
but if people are tuning in, you should hit the points that are strongest and not get muddied down with your religious beliefs or I don't know.
Did you watch that whole interview though?
Which one?
Because
No,
they asked him about it, and he said, "Why don't we talk about the real issues that endanger Americans?" He's like, he even says, "If you are for gay rights, why aren't you talking about ISIS?" Because
I'm
just
not-
last week they murdered a bunch of of people, and they've been murdering homosexuals for the fact that they're homosexuals. So, like, I think he has good responses, but I also think that because he's a Christian, he's going to get questions that'll never get thrown past Hillary, never get thrown past Bernie. He's going to get questions that muddy the water intentionally.
I'm not referring to the interview that he did where he was able to explain it. I'm referring to, I think it's a video you shared with me where he's talking to the Iowa farmer, and he says something, this isn't a quote, but he says something along the lines of, like, we have a liberal Supreme Court with a pro-gay agenda, blah, 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 and he goes off on this whole
He
thing.
kind of touches on it. And
he just throws that out there, and it's like, that might resonate with that one individual, right? And because that person is like, oh, yeah, I don't like that. But when you're looking at it from the grand stage of, like, where America's at now, stuff like that just doesn't play well for the people who probably agree with the important policies you have, but they hear that and they're like, oh, he's just a typical white Republican. Yeah, no thanks.
I think you're probably a little off on that. I think a lot of people are looking to hear that from him, especially people on, like, your typical conservative, not your libertarian-minded conservative, but your modern typical conservative is waiting to hear him say, yeah, I'm not going to let the Supreme Court get away with this gay marriage decision.
That's not what he said, though. It was along the lines of, we have a liberal pro-gay Supreme Court.
Well, whatever it was. There were a lot of people that went, yes, absolutely, that's what I'm looking for.
And there's a lot of other people who are like, whoa.
That's always going to be the way it is. It doesn't matter what the issue is or what you say. Even the important issues, it's like, oh, yeah, well, let's talk about taxation and the economy. I want lower taxes. I think, yeah, straight tax cut straight across the board. You're going to have a whole bunch of people go, oh, heck no. So it doesn't matter what the issue is. You're always going to have somebody going, oh, no, that's not.
But those are actually issues that are important. The gay...
those issues are important to a lot of people.
The gay, not gay thing, that... whatever. If you want to talk about the Supreme Court stuff, okay, yeah, we can have that in context of what...
It seems to be that's what he's typically always talking about, though, in regards to the gay marriage issue. Like, he talks about protecting marriage.
I think I have heard him say things that are pandering to the traditional conservative, typical what you would think someone in Iowa would believe. And I think that's wrong. If he believes...
Do you think he's disingenuous? Do you think he's lying? Because I think the difference between Cruz talking about Christian principles and Trump talking about Christian principles is that Trump is not genuine. He is simply playing a role to pander for votes.
I think he's hitting it as a talking point. I think he's hitting it as a talking. In the context of the video I saw, the way he throws it out there, it's like, you didn't need to bring that up. That was like, it was unnecessary. You were just saying that to get someone on your side and saying something that you think that they will agree with because you think that they're this traditional conservative.
And you're talking about the farmer video I sent you?
I'm pretty sure that's what I saw.
And I do agree that it was weird and a little out of context what he said, but he was listing off like all the other things. Like, he's like, you have this, you're voting on just this one issue of ethanol, when look at all these other things that need to change as the president.
The way he said, and this might be unintentional too, but the way he said it, I took it as him saying, like, yeah, I'm anti-gay just like you. That's how I heard it in my head. And I know that there are liberal people out there who are like, we need some kind of change. We need to, fiscal conservatism. I'm like all for, but they're very liberal on those social issues that like we've said on this podcast many times, like, who cares? Like, if you want to be gay and go get married, fine, whatever. If you're lesbian, go get married, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
If you want to change your gender, change your identity, whatever, as long as it's not really affecting anyone else around and it's just your personal opinion, go for it. Yeah. And so when candidates, especially Republicans, bring that stuff up, I think it is so foolish because you have a whole other side.
No, it's not foolish. That's the part where you're totally dead wrong. They have to keep their base. So
they have an R next to their name. They've got it.
No,
yes.
They don't.
Yes.
It's a primary at this point. The R, everybody's got an R.
Right.
They've got to get their base. They've got to convince their base that they're the guy to go after the issues that are important to them. And gay marriage is an issue that's typically important to a lot of your modern conservatives or your evangelicals or
your modern Christian
your modern Christian conservatives. They want to hear that he's going to do something about that.
I think that
but he can't do anything about it.
That may win.
Well, he can. He might appoint 4 Supreme Court justices.
Well, yeah, he might, but they're not going to be able to go back on the previous.
Yeah, they can. They can reverse that decision. 1,000 cases will come up all the time. They can do it.
I know, but I just don't see it happening. It doesn't seem practical that it would happen.
That they'll reverse a decision?
Well, no, that they'll reverse that decision.
Oh. If they get 4 new justices, they will.
Depends on
If
who
they,
the justices are.
if you replace all the, we only have 3 conservative justices
Right.
at this point. So even if you replaced all of them and then one other, you'd still be more conservative than you are now.
And I agree with Ted Cruz that like marriage should stay with the states, but I also agree with the idea that if you're going to give tax breaks and loopholes and economic benefits, then that's not equal rights under the law.
See, this is one point where I'm like, I don't agree. I agree that marriage staying at the states is a better situation, but I'm like, no, marriage shouldn't be with government at all.
Sure, yeah, but that's not
Right?
going to happen.
And I don't know. I haven't followed Rubio as closely. I don't know if he's weighed in on the topic or said anything like that. And I don't know if I've ever heard Trump say anything in regards to it either. The only one I've noticed say it on a couple occasions has been Ted Cruz.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, I totally get in association with the Supreme Court issue, which is a separate issue in my mind, I think, because that's something that's actually like related to politics. But just the fact of being like gay or anti-gay and like trying to like tap into that crowd and pandering to an audience, yeah, it might win over that person or that group, but I don't think it wins like the overall battle for the final decision, which is like who's going to be president. There's a whole lot of people who the moment they hear that,
every
they just
single
turn
primary.
off.
This is primary season, and
Right.
every single candidate all the time goes, "This is the candidate I am in the primary." And then they go a little bit to the center. This is the candidate that I am for the general. It happens all the time. And I'm not saying I like it. I'm just saying that's the way it is. So right now he's going, okay, I'm over there to the right. Now I will actually gain a lot of respect for him if he does not make that move to the center. Because nobody should. They should be the same candidate all the time and say, this is what I think is right. This is always going to be what I think is right. But yeah, he probably will, like almost every other politician throughout time, make a slight move to the center after the primary decision, after the primary.
And
I
numbers
think if he's still around.
I think that is becoming a poorer and poorer strategy, especially with the fact that everyone has a video camera and everyone has access to YouTube.
I don't think so, because everybody's done it. Everybody. So that's what Barack Obama did. Barack Obama tried to run in the general election as a centrist, but in the primary time was downright socialist.
Sure, but like you're talking about like 4 years ago and 4 years before that, and then 4 years before, like YouTube and like people with cell phones that
It's
are
a
smartphones.
different
like,
world now.
Like,
8 years
we all
later.
saw Joe the Plumber. We all saw the Joe the Plumber because somebody had video on their cell phone.
Right.
That wasn't a news station that recorded that.
right,
Right?
But
So
that
we all
was like
had it.
one clip,
Right?
right? I'm like the fact that there are more and more video devices out there and more people are streaming live all the time. Like everything they say will have a bigger and bigger audience earlier and earlier. And I'm not saying this might not be the election where it matters. It might not even be the next one, but the one after that, like you can't. There will be so much evidence on tape of everything that they say and do that they can't pander for the sake of like, oh, this one vote, and then like, oh, I'm going to flip flop for this next one, or change or slightly shift.
They will.
because
They still will. They'll just,
Oh, they
they'll
will-
just
they
claim
will.
they're not.
Right,
And they'll get away with it.
Well, I think, and I think they will. I think I agree with Strauss on the fact that as time moves forward, they will get away with it less and less. Because think of it in terms of like who's really backing
it won't.
candidates from like the young people, like college kids. Like college kids aren't backing Hillary because of
Right.
her flip flop and dishonesty and all that stuff. They're backing someone who's been kind of genuinely the same path the whole time.
I don't think they're not backing Hillary because of flip-flop and dishonesty. I think they can actually see that she might be a criminal.
Well, that too, but that's all because they have access to all of the technical tools that older people typically don't use as often.
No.
So, like,
No, I'm not buying that argument for Hillary. I do know that college students are getting a lot more advanced in that they're getting polarized more now than ever because most
Sure.
of them were either in the Rand Paul camp or in the Bernie Sanders camp,
Right.
which were the two most opposite candidates.
wait, I told you about the a friend of my wife's at work. It was like, yeah, I took one of those tests that like kind of tells you who you're in line with, and it's either Bernie Sanders or Rand Paul, but I don't know Rand Paul. I've never heard. And they're like, and my wife just starts laughing.
What's amazing is that there was some overlap between, and I'm saying
Oh, yeah,
was
yeah.
because
On
Rand Paul's
social-
already gone.
Yeah,
but
he's out. But on social issues, it makes sense in some
not
regards.
just social. Bernie Sanders wants to end the Fed.
Right,
which
because
is-
he's anti big business and crony capitalism, which I agree with him with.
Right.
Sure.
So he's and the Fed because it's a privatized industry. Now, I don't know if he wants to replace it. I don't know beyond that, but I've heard him talk about ending the Fed. So he actually has which is really fascinating, some fiscal policy in common with Rand Paul.
Right.
And even with Ron Paul.
Yeah.
Like, end the Fed was Ron Paul's kind of like signature statement. I mean, he really hated the Fed, and I
he
do too.
wasn't wrong.
Bravo. But no, he wasn't wrong at all. But anyway, so but they're both of them are just so polarized, and I don't see it as I don't know. I mean, is it going to make a difference? Are more cameras going to make a difference? Yeah, but I think your typical voter, which is still going to be the largest portion of the voter base, is going to be I've already chosen my guy. And look at Donald Trump says he can walk out in 5th Street and shoot somebody and he won't lose a vote. He's absolutely right. And look at all the crap that we've got on him. We got videotape on him.
Yeah.
We got tons of videotape on him. And it's
Sure,
not changing
yeah.
any minds because they're just at this point like, I have already I am on the Trump train,
Right.
and there aren't any stops before my primary.
Right, and we've
Like, I can't get off.
determined that Donald Trump is a loser and isn't going to win
Like, he is, yeah.
Because-
I think
because
we
of
said
all that
windbag
evidence.
douchebag,
Yeah.
did we not?
because of all that. I'll say this, like, okay, I know people. Okay, I know people who have
I know
gone,
some of them, too.
who have gone
Some people.
who've gone. They've gone to a church, and they're like, "This church is great.
I know some of them, too.
I love being here. This is
Yeah.
a great environment." And they hear a sermon that's anti-gay.
Uh-huh.
They want nothing to do with it, right?
Uh-huh.
They're like, "I'm nope, never going back to that place. I don't care what they say. I don't care how it made me feel. That issue made me walk away." Right?
Uh-huh.
I don't know of a voter who looks at a candidate and says, they haven't given me their anti-gay message. I can't vote for them. But I definitely know people who, if they hear something that sounds
You're not looking enough. Those people are way out. There are
there's
of those
people sitting
out
there waiting like, all right.
Well, gay marriage is a huge issue to a lot of voters. And yeah, there are a lot of people that will say, how does he feel about gay marriage? Gay marriage and abortion is like the stereotypical Christian issue. Like, okay, how does he feel about gay marriage? How does he feel about abortion? Okay, I can't side with him.
Well, and it's not just the Christian people. People on the other side, the feminist community and the gay rights, the gay and lesbian community, if they do not hear it from their mouths, a lot of times they don't back. I mean, Hillary flipped on the issue as recently as the last 5 years,
Right.
specifically to get the gay and lesbian community on her side and the feminist community, which is easy because she's a woman, so she just kind of walks out there and goes, "Hey, I'm a girl," and they're like, "We'll vote for you." But it's yes, they pander on both sides. But
the
I
reason
agree
I'm
with
saying
it.
that
People
too-
get, and that's an emotionally charged issue.
The reason I'm saying that too, Strauns, is that you remember last week I mentioned that my family's gotten a lot of people on the ballot, right?
Yeah.
Because we literally go out and work the petitions and everything, and they used to pay really well, but we still do it for people that we actually like and support and everything. But while I was out doing these candidates, it's just a candidate. Just get them on the ballot. You're not voting for him or against him, right? And they would go, well, I don't know. How does he feel about abortion? How does he feel about gay marriage? Okay. Yeah, all right. I can. And I got those two issues more than anything else. I did not have people asking me, well, how does he feel about higher taxes?
Minimum wage.
Minimum wage.
When was
Foreign
this?
affairs.
This, I've done these within the last 5 years.
Right. And I think that faster than conservatives, those people would like, that is changing so fast.
I don't think so. The polls don't say that. It's still about 50-50.
I think there are people who don't like gay marriage,
Uh-huh.
and they think that it's an abomination and a sin or whatever. But I think a lot of those people don't care what a candidate thinks. And there are certainly some who do. But when you look at like and again, I don't know, but like people voted for Trump, people voted for Rubio in Iowa, good chunks of them, almost as many as for Ted Cruz. And I didn't hear Trump or Rubio say anything about it. So it's like, it's not that you have to say, oh, I'm anti-gay to get the conservative vote from these people. They might like it a little bit more, but you might also scare away a lot of other people. And that's my point, is that like that issue to me, yeah, it doesn't matter, because it's like, whatever, let people be people.
Right.
Like, who cares? Let's talk about
Right.
something that is important. And I understand abortion, like that's a separate thing. I get that one. But just like legalizing weed, if we had talked about that 8 years ago, 4 years ago,
Yeah, you wouldn't be
like
getting
that's
the
it's
nomination.
shifting so fast because public opinion changes so fast, because people are genuinely like, maybe they're open to enlightenment, or maybe they're just open to propaganda, but one way or the other, people's minds are changing very, very quickly.
Yeah, that's true. And I can see both sides of that. I don't think it's gone yet, but I do think it's changing drastically fast. And I think even in the midterm elections in 2 years, it'll be I think it'll be even more of a change. Just because I've seen how media changed, maybe because I'm in the industry a little bit, and I see how information sharing has changed. I mean, I was just talking with my dad today, and I was like, "Do you realize that Google was created in 1998?" Google Chrome, which is like the number one browser system in the country, was only created less than a decade ago. So like the way people communicate and receive information has changed drastically. I mean, how old's Facebook? Like, not even a decade old?
Facebook is over. I think Facebook's over.
Just over a decade?
YouTube is now 11 years old.
So yeah, Facebook would be a little older. But that's like...
Remember when YouTube was actually like videos of people like doing stuff? Now it's
still
like,
kind of
man,
is, but
I haven't
yeah.
seen this movie in a long time. I'm gonna look it up on YouTube.
But yeah, I do think... I think maybe, well, per the usual, I'm kind of falling in the middle because I understand both arguments. I understand that like the way we communicate and the way information is shared has changed dramatically in the last 4 years. For at least, definitely in the last presidency, in the last 8 years. Mm-hmm. But you still have that super strong, like fundamental Christian culture that's been embedded for the last 200 years into our culture, and then you have the ultra progressive that have been gaining ground for the last 100 years, who are very much one issue voters. There's still a lot of your one issue voters. I mean, that video I sent to you wasn't even about gay marriage, and you picked a piece out of it that I think is important and is interesting because I did notice it myself. But that one guy, that farmer, essentially walked up to him and was like, "You don't give an ethanol subsidy, I don't vote for you. I'm a one issue voter."
Right.
And then Ted Cruz essentially like, well, look at all these other issues that we might agree on, and that's essentially what he was doing, because he talked about taxes and all these other things. But I think one of the reasons why it's so important that we like encourage, like Jeremy talks about all the time, talk to your neighbor, talk to your friends, is we need to stop being that one issue voter. And I think that's what you're saying is like stop pandering on that one issue. Pay attention to like what really is going on. Not a lot of people are talking about Ted Cruz in regards to like tax reform. They're talking to him about maybe his Christian background. They're talking about other things, but you're not hearing a lot about like the Supreme Court and the nominees there, and like how's he doing foreign affairs? How's he do on immigration? Now we talked about immigration only because Marco Rubio brought it up really strong, and he's been talking about it a lot. But we need to encourage people to not be one issue voters. I know of a few people who were really big into the gay rights movement. That was their one issue. Mm-hmm. And then they got 10 years into the working force, and they went from being liberals to libertarians. Yeah. Where they're like, oh, crap. I was voting for people because of this one issue of gay rights, not realizing that those people, while they gave me what I wanted from gay rights, they also took away a chunk of my check. They've regulated my business to the point where I'm having a hard time operating my business. Mm-hmm. And so I think as people get older, you're going to have less and less of those people who are one-issue voters, like a lot of the college kids, the young people that come out.
And maybe you're right, Jeremy, that once the primaries are over...
Don't let him inflate his ego anymore.
There's a butt coming.
But?
Maybe you're right, and that Ted Cruz will shift once primaries are over if he gets the nomination, and it ends up being he's the guy. But I think the divide that is in this country, right, where we have, I mean, when you look at the past two elections, it's been pretty close to 50-50, I'd say. Mitt Romney and John McCain, like, yeah, Obama beat him, but it wasn't like a huge landslide.
Right. And I think it was only like 6 or 7 points for both of them. Like, could have been 9. I don't know.
Like pretty close though. Like close enough to where you'd look at it and go like, man, the country's pretty divided. There's like people on this side and there's people on this side. Mm-hmm. And when you look at the reasons for that, I think it is down to those issues, right? Where, oh, this is the anti-gay party and this is the pro-gay party. This is the anti-abortion party. This is the pro-abortion party. And there's all these like, we're this, they're that. And people pick their issue and they find their platform and they just like, they stick with that. But if you had a candidate who looked at that and was like, I don't care about that. I don't care about that. I don't care about that. I care about the stuff that is important. And, that's going to be different for everybody, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe Ted Cruz has his top 10 list and you've got yours and I've got mine. But something that like blurred those party lines a little bit, I think you would see a stronger win from that candidate rather than just the 50-50 you have right now. Because
I don't think so, because you have that in Rand Paul. Like, you have a guy who's pro-legalization of weed, is trying to, like, relieve some of the issues with the incarceration system. He's argued a lot for the issues with like racial bias in the policing and judicial system. He's also talked about free market options and lowering the tax burdens on businesses. He's also talked about gay rights. He's also talked about being less interventionist in the military and being willing to cut the military spending if you need to. Like, he seems to be that guy that is willing to just do what's best for liberty in general, regardless of what party platform you sit in, but he's not polling very high.
I think, well, and especially now he's out of the race. So,
So now he's not polling at all.
Yeah, hopefully it's zero. Hopefully nobody says they're going to vote for him. But I think one of the issues is that, I don't know, I've always thought that you thought the average voter was a little dumber than I thought they were. But now I'm actually feeling like it's the opposite. Like, I feel like you're giving the average voter a little too much credit. I think the average voter is a 1 or 2, maybe 3 issue voter. Mm-hmm. They latch onto it, and there's no top 10 list. Like, if you ask most people, what's your top 10 political issues? They won't get it.
No.
But most of the time, they're just so busy.
I wasn't
with
saying for voters. I was saying for the people running, the candidates.
the candidates.
I
That's
see
what
what
I
you're
meant.
saying.
Rather than saying,
yes,
that Republican platform is my platform.
There are voters who are like, I want free education, I'm voting for Bernie.
Right.
Or like, yep, I like pro-weed, voting for Bernie. Like, they pick that one thing that they've heard him say one time or a couple times, and they're like, yeah, I love that, that's great, and they don't look at everything else, right? I would say if you can find things like that, which maybe that's why Bernie Sanders is doing such a good job, but if you can find things like that people really love, and they're like, yes, I like it, and stay away from anything where they're like, whoo, no, I want nothing to do with that, that's probably a safe space to be. And that's probably playing the game a little bit, right? And not maybe being maybe as genuine as you guys think, maybe he's actually being. But I think some of it too is just like pandering to the crowd.
I think you're describing them running as a strict centrist. That's what it sounds like. And it's like, yeah, that's pretty much what everybody tries to do in the end.
I'm trying to think, of like running a center, okay? I think you just pick the winning side.
The winning side. It's like,
go on an issue. You talked about Rand Paul, right? Being kind of this ideal candidate.
It seems to be what you're describing.
Right.
But there is something to be said about personality and appeal and all those things, right? And endorsements and
I think that's
marketing.
nothing this year, I might add, because I think almost nobody has any charisma whatsoever. And I'll say that about Ted Cruz too, Rand Paul. I like those guys, but I'm looking straight across the board. Democrats too. Okay. This is a 0% charisma election year, which I think is okay because maybe we'll actually look at issues. But anyway, go ahead.
But besides that, Bernie has a great digital marketing, social media campaign. He is everywhere on the internet, and everyone on the internet thinks he's like the greatest thing ever. You have Ted Cruz, who has Glenn Beck and a lot of the other big radio guys basically saying like, he's the guy, vote for him, and everyone who listens is like, okay, right, okay. So you have some of those factors playing into it, and then you have Hillary. Maybe there's a lot of people who are like, oh, she's a woman, so I'm going to vote for her. I've seen a lot of people like that. Like, why would you not vote for the woman? And it's like, well, what does that have to do with anything?
I voted for Michelle Bachmann in the primary last time.
Oh yeah,
and y'all didn't want anything to do with Sarah Palin, so whatever.
Right.
And she was one heartbeat away from being president.
Thank you to Tina Fey.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's not a perfect way to run because yes, like you said, there's always going to be some issue where people disagree with you on. But I think for me, the gay marriage thing is just like whatever, like who cares?
It's like throwing it out there just
it's
to
just
pander.
You're taking an anti-stance to get someone to be pro-you, which probably works. Like, I'm anti-terrorism.
You've said like anti-gay all throughout this, but to be against gay marriage is not to be anti-gay.
No, I know.
It's to say that
But that's how people see it. right?
It is okay. So you're saying the perception is that they're
Yes, because that's
anti-gay.
all that matters, right?
Okay.
No one cares what Ted Cruz actually believes.
That's true.
They care
It's the
what
perception.
they think he believes.
Sure.
Which, whatever. There's something to be said for that too. But and that's the thing. I would rather just see a candidate like not pick up that torch or that flag, and then burn themselves with it.
Uh-huh.
Right.
I would like to see Trump burn himself with it. If that was, are we talking about an actual torch?
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, and I think
That'd be okay.
I think I definitely get what you're coming from, and that is something that bugs me. You see it with every candidate, though. You see it with every candidate trying to pander to the crowd they're in front of. My hope would be that when those kind of gotcha questions come out, because they will, when you talk about those kind of hot button issues, that we get substantive answers and not just like your typical Trump answer, which is like a non-answer.
Right. Well, this was supposed to be a short podcast. Adam asked us to keep it short.
No, I gotta drive like 3 hours tonight.
I like it when we actually disagree with each other. It's fantastic.
Do we need like a red light? And just flip it on when we're close, like a minute.
Yeah.
Get off the stage.
Yeah, go ahead. Strongs, you may respond. You have 3 minutes. Bing, 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 bing. Well, thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for watching on Periscope. Mm-hmm. And we will catch you next week. Make sure to check us out on iTunes and Stitcher. And
Keep talking. Keep talking. Gotta get the
because
music.
We are
Queued up.
awesome, and we miss you guys. And
We
we're
miss
a
you
very well-produced show.
Oh, wait. Keep talking.
Because
keep talking.
we're so
keep
well
Doing
talking.
old school this week.
We
don't
are. We
have
do.
to
Old-
keep talking when we don't have things ready. Goodbye.
Ideas, inspiration, information. Three-headed eagle.
I can't believe you guys like candy corn.
Candy corn's freaking good, man.
It is trash.
What's wrong with you?
It is candy corn.
It's like solidified caramel.
It's not candy. It's not corn. It's nothing.
It is something. I mean, it's there. So
Trash.
it's good.
It's trash.
It's like straight sugar. Caramelized sugar. It's delicious.
Quick Periscope. Candy corn, good or bad?
It's awful.
We got one eek
Eek?
and one it's good.
No.
All right.
Who's eek and who's it's good? Are we still on? We're still on Periscope? Oh.
We can. It's Nagao is good. And we had a follower Sarah that said eek.